Hey Bright Lights, welcome back to the Space Doctor series on the Architecting channel. My name is Angela, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm an architect researcher and feng shui practitioner. I've spent my whole career studying the science behind the design for well-being, so you don't have to. All you have to do is click the like and subscribe buttons and make sure you tune in every single week to get easy to understand. You do not have to be a design professional. Tips, tricks, and the true science behind why environments that we are in affect us the way that we do. So I use a deck of cards I developed especially for this purpose called my Saluted Genesis deck that has two parts. The first part are foundational concepts, things that form the basis of wellness or disease. And the second part are what my research has shown are 5 core aspects of Saluted Genesis. These are 5 theories, but each of these theories is almost like the ace in a suit of cards. They form an alphabet. There's more theories behind that my research shows point to these core theories, and each of these are associated with an element in feng shui. I'll also talk about the feng shui of all this. Why do I do this? I do this because I really know, I don't just believe that design makes a difference. And I think the more people that know and understand and can talk about why, not just thinking about good design as a nice to have, the better all of our life experiences will be. And so many of you who listen are not subscribed. Make sure you do that. It really does support the channel. And why do we care about that? Because the way the algorithms work, the more people follow the channel, the more likely it is that this channel will get suggested to someone else. So if what you're hearing is helpful to you, make sure you like and subscribe, because it will mean more people get this same helpful and useful information. All right, let's start with the card that I drew from the foundational part of the deck for this week, and it is socioeconomics. So this is the exposome, the environment of social and economic factors that we are all surrounded in, like social determinants of health. Today, we're going to talk very specifically about socioeconomics as it deals with interpersonal reactions. So the complexity of those are very important. And often when we're thinking about equity in environments, children who come from lower socioeconomic circumstances don't have that same complexity of play. They tend to do what's called parallel play, which means they might be together, but they're not engaging one another. It's also more likely that there's less parental interaction and also just less opportunities. There may not be sports teams or safe playgrounds. I've heard that a lot in talking to people that study socioeconomics and social determinants to health. The home environment may not have enriching toys or playing equipment. Also, there may be more likelihood that you're spending time on screen time. Why does all this matter? Because research on socioeconomic issues and cognitive development shows that when we are very young, the way that we play and the complexity of that is linked to our cognitive development. And that is a major factor in early learning performance. And as we know, our sense of ourselves and how smart we are and what we can do and whether we like school, that gets started when we are very, very young. It's also important to have good opportunities for play because physical activity is important. It's part of developing gross motor coordination, fine motor coordination, being able to be stronger and healthier. What can we do about this? We can start to advocate for more equitable urban design, making sure that there are playgrounds and parks and that those are safe spaces so that parents feel good about bringing their children there or even letting their children play there alone. We need to make sure that those playgrounds have a sense of discovery, not just a sad patch of grass with some gravel and a swing set and a sliding board and a basketball hoop, but really enriching play equipment that challenges children to take safe risks, but those risk-taking activities are part of how we develop through play cognitively. Think about having neighborhoods where there's more of a walkable community, and even along the sidewalk, there's opportunities to engage, to play, to do things outside that make it fun to walk or ride your bike. Are there trails? Are there abilities to learn or do things out in the neighborhood aside from just be on the street? And finally, accessibility. So, not everybody is in the same physical or neurological state. So, do we have playgrounds that are accessible to all children and that allow all children to experience play? That is a question to ask. And there are some great examples out there now of accessible playgrounds that allow children who are neurodivergent or who are in a wheelchair to still have access to equipment on playgrounds and still enjoy that play experience. And also, when we're talking about accessibility, let's not just think about playgrounds for young children. Teenagers can benefit from play. We've seen a lot also coming out now with playgrounds for older children that involve more complex activities and are sized for those older children. Now, the card that I drew from the aspects part of the deck is play. Now, play is part of the relaxation response alphabet or suit. And relaxation response is really that resetting of our physical body. So, if we are under stress or have experienced trauma, relaxation response is where we reset. It's known as I restore. It's associated with the water element, and water is about healing and restoration in feng shui. So you can see where the connection is. Now, you can see on the card to kind of help understand some of this. Snow can symbolize isolation, but it can also represent a fresh, clean opportunity or a smoothing over of roughness. And both of those are true when we think about the two cards we have today, that we want to smooth over the isolation that can happen when we don't have good play experiences as children. The mountains in the background also are about the trials that we overcome. So when we are skiing down a mountain, as you see here, we're really talking about having perspective, having endurance. Part of what will elicit the relaxation response is repetitive or meditative activities or things that are fun. So when we do any kind of play that is rhythmic or repetitive, or we are doing the kind of play that put us in flow state, we're going to trigger the relaxation response, and we're going to, in general, help our body restore and heal. So not only is this helping cognitive development, but it's overall helping your well-being. Play can really engage you fully so that you have to focus on being present, being in the moment. If you think about something like skiing down the mountain, you have to give your full attention to the act of skiing, but there's also a rhythm to it. It's also an exhilarating feeling. So you get lost in that feeling. Other kinds of similar activities are things like swinging on a swing set. That used to be one of my favorite things to do as a kid. I could do it for hours. And I really did get into flow state and would have these amazing imaginative experiences all while I was swinging. But there's other kinds of play that can be important too. Dancing, running, playing board games or games of strategy can do this. So what we want to think about when we are understanding design for play is, where are there opportunities for activities where there is repetitive motion? So it could be a running trail, it could be swimming, it could be an installed piece of equipment that has kind of a repetitive motion or rhythm to it. Swing sets, of course, like I said, even things that spin or merry-go-rounds, things that are physically challenging. Also, we can think about ways to play where there is mindful engagement. So again, an activity like organized sports or something that involves personal challenges, personal records, personal achievement, accomplishment, strategy, anything like that is going to fully focus the mind and put you into more of a flow state. Play involves motion many times. And when we are under stress, part of what helps us to reset is movement. So moving around pulls those stress hormones out of our bodies. Now, the feng shui of all of this is also thinking about, are there things in the playground that feel organic and welcoming, or is the playground full of harsh edges and harsh pavement? Pulling in more grass, pulling in softer surfaces. Mixing it up is going to be important. Activating the space with lights, even sometimes sunshades, so that the space is usable more times of the year. Getting all 5 elements engaged. So can children play with earth? Think about sand, water. Is there a water table or a little stream, something they can play with, a fountain, splash pad, anything like that? Of course, a swimming pool would also count. It could maybe play with things that light up, right? That will bring in the fire element, activating light, having light so it's usable more times of the day. Metal is usually present in most playground equipment, so that's going to be there. And finally, wood. So we don't want a playground that doesn't have natural materials in it. Make sure that we really do engage all 5 senses, all 5 elements, so that we have the most engaging, most accessible, most usable kind of play space. And this can happen at different scales. Some parks may have a lot of different elements to them, play areas and trails. Others, maybe just a little pocket park that's the size of maybe a lot. But there's still opportunities to get a little bit more complexity, have more enriching play activities, make sure that it is accessible, usable more times of the year. Think about ways that play and some of these elements can even be part of the experience of moving through a neighborhood. So what does downtown feel like? Everybody wants to be a kid. Everybody benefits from play. Are there opportunities to be more lighthearted, more whimsical, again, engage all five senses? Opportunity to do more than just the most straightforward kind of activity, the most expected, the most utilitarian. Can we bring art in? Can we bring opportunities to maybe sit on those big giant swings we see sometimes? Definitely think about how important play is, not only for children, but for all of us. It is how we relax, it's how our brain resets, it is part of cognitive development as well as physical health and development. Please remember to like and subscribe, tell your friends about this channel, share your experiences as you think about how the socioeconomic part of the exposome and play work together to create more enriching communities for everybody. I will see you next time.